Antoine Rempp with his Executor Experts, and I've been doing events, live events, and a lot of information on the website as well. And I'm here with Gavin Friedly with BDO. He's an accountant, and we're gonna talk a little bit about having co-executors and what this means for CRA and paperwork. So Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit why we don't encourage people to have co-executors instead of that having contingent executors, and what are the involvements with CRA and what it means?
Sure. So I'm going to assume that you sort of talked a little bit before about the difference between co-executors and contingent executors.
You can cover it briefly.
Okay, briefly. Co-executors means, fundamentally from my point of view, they have to get along all the time with all the decisions in the estate.
That's right.
Particularly if you have two.
Yes.
At least if you have three and they disagree on an issue, it'll probably be 2-1 and you might be okay. But anytime you have more than one executor, you're forcing people to get along. You're making them business partners in the management of an estate at a time when it's very emotionally charged, and you may or may not want to deal with that right now. You also will create some tension, so anybody you're making co-executors is going to eventually not get along for at least a small portion of time, perhaps a longer period of time. The idea of a contingent executor instead is basically putting executors in succession, saying I name this person as my executor. If they choose not to act or cannot act for any reason, person B is the replacement, and then person C. You definitely want to have at least one backup, sometimes two, just in case. When it comes to dealing with the CRA and the tax filings, co-executors, the primary concern with co-executors is that the CRA is going to demand signatures by all of the legal representatives on certain forms. And when you're dealing with an estate and you're dealing with all of the tax issues that come out of an estate, because when somebody passes away, everything they own and everything they did all of a sudden comes to the forefront in the estate returns. You now have short deadlines at times. You have a lot of information you're trying to find about historical costs, purchases of assets, purchases of estate assets, and you run into pretty tight deadlines on getting your filing done. And now you need multiple signatures on a form.
That's right.
And sometimes you need multiple original ink signatures on a form because you need each executor to sign these forms. It can delay processing immensely if we can't get those signatures right away. If you try to get the form signed separately and send in 2 copies of the form, more often than not, one will get lost in processing and you're starting over again. So every time you have to resend something to the CRA, you're adding 6 weeks to your process as a minimum. So if you have 3 executors and you have to send it in 3 times, you just added 4.5 months to trying to get your estate wound up. Wow. So we recommend against multiple executors unless there's a specific reason in the family to do so.